What's up, you guys? My name is Aubrey and this is my channel, and today I want to talk about Turo because I recently had a total loss, meaning one of my cars was wrecked beyond repair, and in this video I want to break down exactly how much money I made off of that car. So I'm going to be breaking down how much that car cost me, how much I made in the roughly 1.5 years of ownership of that car, and how much Turo paid me out for that car whenever it was totaled on a Turo rental. So let's get started. Now, before we begin, I would like to remind you guys I have an online course called the Car Sharing Masterclass, and in that course, I break down the exact process and the exact steps that I take in managing my own Turo business. In this course, I break down how to buy cars at a discount, how to make money while passively managing these cars, and how to ensure that once you have a car that's totaled, you make money instead of lose money. So if you guys are interested in starting your own Turo business, if you're interested in the world of peer-to-peer car sharing, I highly recommend this course. The good news is that I am providing a coupon code to any of you guys who watch this video and then go purchase the course. So if you guys are interested in checking it out, I will have the link down in the description below, as well as the coupon code in both the description as well as in the pinned comment section as well. So go check that out, use the coupon code for $25 off, and learn how to start your own car sharing business. So with that, let's dig into my total loss. So over the last few weeks, my Turo fleet has been doomed with some bad luck. And if you guys checked out the last video that I made on this topic titled "My Turo Fleet is Falling Apart," then you may have a decent idea of what's going on with this 2007 Ford Focus. Well, over the course of about 4 days, I had almost half of my Turo fleet be delisted or unlisted by myself or by Turo because of issues that were happening with the vehicles. The good news is, as we see here today, all of those issues have been resolved and all of the damage claims that I was dealing with have been paid off. So good news all around. But there was one total loss that was so bad that the vehicle could not be repaired, it could not be relisted, and thus they had to total out the car and they had to pay me the value of that car. This was my 2007 Ford Focus. Now, this was a hatchback Ford Focus. It was a very basic Ford Focus, 2 doors, 4-seater. To be honest, I really liked this car. I don't really know why I liked it so much because it's definitely not the best looking car in the world, but it was the favorite car of my entire Turo fleet, and I'm not exactly sure why, I just really liked it. This car went out on a 1-day rental, and the morning that the car was set to be returned, the renter had told me that she hit a median and the airbags went off. At the time, she told me that the car was in perfect shape, but the airbags had been deployed and she was getting the car towed to a tow yard. That was kind of all the information I was given at the time, and these are the photos that she included in her text message and in the Turo app letting me know that the car had been wrecked. She thought that the car was fine, that it was simply a matter of getting new airbags and then the car would be good to go. But me, being an experienced Turo host, I knew that because of the fact that the airbags went off, that the car would not be salvageable. Because of the fact that my cars are lower budget, lower end, if the airbags ever go off, it's simply game over. There is no salvaging a car if the airbags had gone off, especially with lower budget, lower model cars like mine. The car ended up being appraised a few days later, and to the surprise of no one, it was deemed a total loss. I had to send my paperwork to Turo, I had to send them the title, they had to send me the appraisal, we had to agree on the number, and then we were good to go. To be honest, this was probably the most smooth Turo total loss I've ever dealt with. From the time that the car was deemed a total loss to the time that I was paid out was less than a week. So overall, I was super happy with how this claim was handled. Now let's dig into the numbers. So I bought this car in March of 2019 and I bought it for $2,800. Over the course of its Turo career, it was probably one of my more reliable vehicles. It was very rarely out for any issues at all. It was a really stout, really solid car. So to be honest, I'm kind of sad to see it go. It was also a lower mileage vehicle in relation to a lot of my other fleet. It had just recently passed 130,000 miles, and at the time that I purchased the car had well under 90,000 miles. So the car had, I think, still some life left in it. But I purchased the car for $2,800 cash. At the time that I purchased it, I didn't put any money into the car to get it ready to be relisted on Turo. I simply just cleaned it and it was good to go. It didn't need any mechanical work. It didn't have any issues at the time that I purchased it. I just got it for a really solid deal. Over the course of its Turo career, it went on 120 trips on the platform. In 2019, it made a net profit of $4,925. This is how much it made after all expenses had been paid, but not taking into account the actual purchase price of the vehicle. So it brought in $4,925 of profit in the year 2019. Now let's move on to 2020. So in 2020, even though the car was listed on the platform for the entire year of 2020, I made less money in 2020 than I did in 2019. And I accredit this to a few things. Number one is the fact that Turo has changed the rules, and because of that, hosts are making less per car than they did in the past. My profit per vehicle has gone down about 10 to 20% per vehicle because of the rules and regulations that Turo has changed over the last year. For example, mileage reimbursements used to be a real profit center for hosts. You were able to make money whenever guests went over in miles. This has since changed, and you can barely break even off of mileage, let alone make a profit. This was a significant and a negative change for hosts, and as a result, there are a lot of hosts out there like myself who have seen a decrease in profit per vehicle, and this was certainly the case for my 2007 Focus. Additionally is the pandemic. The pandemic had a huge effect on rental cars, and as a result, my cars sat for anywhere between 3 weeks to 6 weeks. Some cars sat for 6 weeks straight without a single rental, and other cars sat for 3 weeks or 2 weeks straight without a single rental. And this was certainly the case with my 2007 Focus, and as a result, the earnings for March, April, May were significantly hurt compared to 2019. To give you guys some context on this, in the year of 2019, this 07 Focus made over $500, and in the same month, so April of 2020, this car made $15. So the pandemic definitely had a negative effect on rentals and really affected the bottom line and the profit for the year of 2020, which isn't a big deal. It's definitely to be expected, but it absolutely affected the overall profit of this vehicle in its entire Turo career. So with that, the net profit of this vehicle after all expenses had been paid for the year of 2020 was $3,235.92. That brings the total profit of this vehicle from March of 2019 to December of 2020 to just about $8,160.92. This is net profit taking into account all of the expenses of the vehicle, but not taking into account the purchase price of the vehicle, which we'll address in a minute. So now let's dig into the payout of the vehicle and how much I made on the actual total loss. So again, I bought this car in 2019, in March of 2019. I bought it for $2,800 in cash, and at the time that I purchased the car, it didn't need a whole lot of work to it. At the time, I had to pay, of course, the registration, the insurance costs, but really, for the most part, it just needed to be cleaned, and then it was ready to be rented on the platform. At the time I purchased it, it had about 80 to 90,000 miles on it. And at the time it was totaled, it had over 130,000 miles on it. So in the course of that 1 year period of time, I drove between 40 and 50,000 miles. Well, at the point that this vehicle was totaled, which was in January of 2021, so just a couple of weeks ago, Turo deemed the actual cash value, or the ACV, of this vehicle to be $4,280. That's how much Turo deemed the worth of this vehicle to be. Now, when it comes to a total loss with Turo, there are a few things to keep in mind. ACV is the biggest factor in determining how much you're going to make off of that loss, or how much they're going to give you for the loss. Additionally, they will take into taxes for the vehicle as well. They'll also include concessions, so they'll either add or take away value of the vehicle. And you also have to take into account your deductible as well. These are all factors that can have a significant impact on your total payout by Turo for a vehicle total loss. In my case, they deemed the vehicle valued at $4,280. They tacked on $267.50 for that vehicle for taxes. They tacked on $112 for concessions, and then they took away $250 for my deductible, meaning they added up all those numbers, subtracted the $250, and that brought the total amount that they were willing to pay me for a settlement. With these numbers in mind, the total settlement amount that Turo paid me was $4,409.50. Taking this into account, we then subtract the total purchase price of the vehicle, which was $2,800, and that means between the point of purchasing the vehicle and the point of totaling the vehicle, I made $1,609.50 off of these two transactions. So we deduct the purchase price off of the total loss settlement, and that brings me to just about $1,600 in profit. Now we take into account all of these numbers accumulated together. So in this 1.5 year period of time that I owned this vehicle, and the 120 trips that this vehicle took, After expenses had been paid and after the purchase price of the vehicle had been taken into account, I made a total $9,770.42 off of this car in the year and a half that I owned it. Now, this is a number that I was extremely happy with. The fact is, whenever you look at this from a purchase price of the vehicle to an ROI perspective, you can't really get much better than that. And even though the profitability of this car did go down as I owned the vehicle, the total loss claim ended up kind of making up for it. And the fact that I was able to pay for the original purchase price of the vehicle with the total loss claim, and I was able to also make some money not only off of the total loss, but also off of the month-to-month operations of the car, I view that as a huge, huge win. With that being said, you guys, I thought that this would be an interesting video because of the fact that losing money on total losses with Turo is something that is far, far too common. The fact is, if you do not buy your Turo vehicles at the right price, you are almost guaranteed to lose money once that car is totaled. And the sad reality is, cars get totaled far too often on Turo. It's not a matter of if a car will get totaled, it's just a matter of when, at least in most cases. But the thing that's important to keep in mind is that the story of my '07 Focus, the idea of making money off of the total loss, this is something that isn't that uncommon for me. In fact, I've had a number of total losses over the course of my Turo career, and I've never lost money on a single one. Some are more profitable than others, but because of the fact that I buy my cars at the right price means that there is room for profit once the car is totaled, or if the car gets totaled, I should say. Ultimately, though, I'm sad that this car got totaled. I really liked this car. It was a good performer. It was a good car. I really liked it. In fact, I told myself that once it was retired from the Turo platform, I would probably drive it on my own and just keep it. But obviously, that's not going to be the reality because it was totaled. But with that being said, you guys, I would love to hear your thoughts. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you have anything to add, make sure to leave a comment down below. Remember that if you're interested in starting your own car sharing business, check out my car sharing masterclass. I will include the link to that as well as a coupon code that will give you $25 off down in the description, as well as in the pinned comment section of this video. So if you're interested, make sure to check that out. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. And I'll see you guys in the next video.